All right, so let's get started. Um, so what I'm gonna be doing first is I'm gonna be going over what I see that works for the picture, um, and then I'll be going over the critique part, discussing like what could be you know um, better. Just offer some tools, some little uh, tips for composition just to make it read better. Okay, so since this is mainly focused on a character and not a scene, uh, I mean the rules of composition still apply, but not as in depth as it would be for an actual scene. So let's start with the principles of design, which is what I'll be covering in the class later on. Let's check out the balance first. Okay. Actually, let's check out the emphasis. Okay. So yeah, so you have emphasis. You have good emphasis right here in the face. All right. Um, the eyes are looking at the viewer. Okay. So that right there is drawing you in. Even the expression is good because um, it's you can almost relate to the expression. As a human, we have many expressions. So yeah, because of the expression, the eyes, and everything, we can relate to this character. It's not boring. It has emphasis. Plus it has contrast um, between the background and the character. So it has contrast like right around this area and on down. Okay. Plus that's where your negative and positive space plays in too, because you have you have different shades in color. Okay. You have the blue, which recedes into the background. Then you have like kind of like a neutral, and that really contrasts really well. Um, these two contrast really well together. The overall image contrasts really well, even all the way down, past um, this background. All right, so that's good. Uh, what else? Um, you have a little bit of contrast right here too. You got some going on right here, and right here, and right here, which is very important. Your main focus wants to be right here on the face, because that's what's reading. That's what you want the viewer to read is the face. Okay, so that's where your main focus is. So in order to do that, in order to acquire that, achieve that more, um, like in order to put more focus on the face, you could do stuff like of course, it all determines on what kind of you know what you're trying to achieve too, as far as the character and design. But you could always um, add some darker tones down below. Um, if you're going for more of a kind of like it kind of looks like you have more of like a cell shaded look for the character instead of more detailed or more what do you call it? Like more values, like more tonal values. Your values are pretty simple, indirect. So if you wanted to, let's say, let's just pick vector. Let's color pick this, where your shadow's at. If you wanted to add more shadow down here, maybe a few other shades. Um, Maybe just a few more shades. It's kind of hard to with like such a character, like such a style. It's kind of hard to put emphasis um, like around the facial area because you have such a flat shaded like a flat color going with your your design. Um, I mean, you could somewhat achieve um, more emphasis going to the top if you like darken this in some. It wouldn't be so bright. Maybe some like wrinkles or something right here. Uh, Maybe some darkness over here. But yeah, like what I said, it's kind of since the shades, the colors are flat. It's kind of hard to direct your focus. And if you did it another way, like if you did it this way, it would be a lot clearer. It would be a lot clearer of a focus on the face. Let me show you. So if you say like you took a soft brush, okay, and you put some soft tonal values down here. The more you soften it, the more you leave more hard contrasting areas at the top. Okay. See how this at the top kind of pops out more now? Oops. Yeah, see how it kind of like pops more from the bottom? This whole area? Okay. Um, so that's just a suggestion that you could do. But like I said, it all depends on the style. And the style you're going with, it seems like it's more like flat color, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just that all that is a suggestion. You can add more like, oops, not red. Um, you can even add more down here. So everything's not like so like such a like so everything's not like the same shade basically. Um, and you kind of cancel out the details down here. I mean, it's still there, but um, you just want to put more pop, where the face is at. Okay, exactly. It gives it more depth, more emphasis, and that's what we're discussing. You could even add some highlights, to bump the shadows, or you could add some more dark. Either way, knock it back or you know bring it out. Okay. You can add dark and you can add highlight. Um, One thing I want to suggest is you don't want to go too white. I already see that whenever I color pick this, it's almost pretty much in the white range. Um, you want to try to keep it in the general area of like kind of like reddish or peach or like or pinkish. You don't want to go too far into the white because, like I said, I just color picked this and it's already pretty far. Because once you get too far into the white, it's more difficult to go back than it is forward. All right, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. Um, but yeah, so like we can go ahead and color pick this, and we can you know, add a little bit of contrast like in the cheeks, and just you know, pay attention to where the light's coming from. But once again, this is, oops. Once again, you know, this is a flat shade, which I mean, you could add like, you know, flat shades and stuff um, to it too. You don't have to go soft like I'm doing. That's all, you know, like I said, all this is a suggestion. You could add some flat shade right there, some over here, some more up here. Of course, you don't want to add too much since it is a flat shade. A little bit more right here, some underneath the mouth. So yeah, yeah. Pay attention to where your lights coming from. It looks like he has like a pretty direct light on him, but you could also add, you know, some like shadows back here, maybe some right here. So something like that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to so well. First of all, does that make sense? Do you understand that? Do you understand what I was doing there? And welcome everybody. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next thing as far as like composition is concerned. And I want to touch on what you actually have going on first before I start um, talking about other things in composition. Uh, let's talk about your movement. All right. So for movement, movement is basically what it is like implied lines. Okay, it's um, it's like lines that you don't see obviously, but you have things that are implying it. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like this tie right here, that could be an implied line. It's pointing up to the face. Okay, you don't see it directly, but um, it gives the illusion that, you know, it's leading the eye up to um, you know, this area right here. Okay. Now, and then again, you probably don't notice it right off the bat. I noticed it because I know, you know, I understand what to look for, what I am looking for. Um, but to the common eye of a viewer, they probably don't notice it, but it's like almost subconsciously. Um, that's what that's what leads, you know, the viewer's eye. Okay. Angles are when you have angles, those are like direct um, lines that lead the viewer. Okay, they make the image tense. Like you got angles right here, and actually when people like, you know, it's kind of going off the subject, but when people like design clothes, uh, items, stuff like that, they keep that stuff in mind because composition can play a role in anything. Okay, they keep that in mind whenever they're, you know, working on something, whenever they're creating something, designing something. What's visually pleasing to the viewer. All right. Also, also, you know, you could you know, have implied lines right here, you know, the arms, okay? The jacket itself. All these lines are powerful because they lead the viewer, okay? Now you could have more, um, like outside here, you could probably have like, I don't know, something out there, like an object or something that's even leading the viewer's eye as well, okay? Um, Now I want to touch on the now you know, this also goes with what you're trying to achieve here. But I also want to touch on the focus again. Another thing that you could do is you could actually blur out the background so it's not so harsh, so it's not so crisp. Um, um, because it kind of feels like, to me, it kind of feels like a sticker. Um, and this guy's like stuck to it, kind of like that. Um, but if you wanted to like make him pop more, um, there's two things you could do. You could blur out the this blue part, the blue circle. I think that's just a background to like complement them, which is great with the contrast. But if you blurred it out like with a soft brush or like the blur brush or whatever, the blur tool, um, it would just it would add more to the character itself. It would just make them pop more. Okay. You could even add like a shadow behind them. Put like a little shadow, and that right there will make them pop more too, because it's giving the illusion that he's standing right in front of it. Does that make sense? Probably best to just let me try the blur. Try the blur tool. See if I can blur this out some. Are these up? Okay, wait. All right, here we go. Yeah, so see, just a little bit of blur right there. It's not making the circle so crisp. So that means he's more of the you know, where the focal is. He has more contrast in comparison to what's behind him. And then if you add more, uh, like I said, if you add the shadow, that will even add more to it. Add that shadow, man. I mean, it just makes them pop instantly, right? And then you can even, like I said, you can even add shadow to the suit. Just throwing some shadow like back there and down here, man. I mean, maybe put some highlights over in this area, you know, add some more shadow back here. I mean, you could even go one step further and you could add another light source if you wanted to. So you have your main light coming from this direction, but then you could have like a backlight, you know, just some artificial light. You know, it can be anything. It could, um, probably it could be like to contrast with the blue, you know, it could be like an orange or something. Or whatever. That's just an idea. If you wanted to help the character read more. Okay. So now let's go to so that so you understand that? Okay. Have any questions? Let's go ahead and take this back. You have any questions? Or anybody have any questions? Dancing bananas? All right. Okay, cool. All right. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next compositional design element. All right. So let's touch on pattern. And basically, pattern is this is another tool that you can use to improve the image. And I see a little bit of it right here. It's basically pattern. What pattern is repeated elements um, in an image. Okay. Uh, it can be anything from arcs to angles to curves, structures, shapes, and you have a few things with that happening right here. Okay, so you have yeah, so you have like a repeated pattern right here with the his little collar, right? You have repeated pattern right here with the tie, with this little design in the tie. Okay. What else? Here's a repeated pattern. Just like the simplest things. It can be like, I mean, it can be like complex things. It could be like, uh, let's see, let's add like a little design to the coat itself. Let's uh, let's do, let's just do something simple like this. Okay. And let's say you have the same thing over here. That's a repeated pattern. Okay. Um, let's say you have like, on his coat. Not only is it a repeated pattern, but it's also implied lines too, because they're directing the viewer's attention up to the character. All right. So that's another tool that you can use at to your disposal as far as design elements go is repeated patterns. Very powerful tool. Um, I mean, even the simplest things, the eyes, can be considered a repeated pattern because they repeat. The eyes, the eyebrows, okay, the hair. See how it's parted? It's a repeated pattern. So yeah, but yeah. So it can be from simple to complex, you know. But it just adds visual interest, more visual interest, you know, to the image. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to let's see. And now I'm gonna move on to balance. And basically balance is just balancing out the scene, okay? I'll show you an example. Like say like I take this character, I move them over. Let me copy this real quick. All right, let's say I take this character, I move them over, all right? All right, we'll we'll just ignore we'll ignore the circle for right now, okay? But now let's say that let's copy them down, and let's pretend he's another. Oops. Let's see. Okay, let's pretend there's another person there. Okay. All right. Let's not pay any attention to the let's not pay any attention to the similarities of it. What you want to pay attention to is the size difference. Okay. And what this does is this adds a sort of balance. Instead of making one side completely heavier, see if you just had him right there and you had nothing over here in this area, there wouldn't be much balance. It's almost like it's tipping, okay? Because all the weight is over here. All right? But it don't even have to be a character over in that area. It can be let's go back. Oops. Let's bring them over again. Oops. All right. Now, if you put them side by side, I mean, there is a balance there, but in order to have, these two balance out, yeah, I mean, this could work, but it's kind of stationary because you got two of the same image. Now, let's say if you flip this guy and put him like that, all right, and then you just, you know, brought him into the background a little bit, okay? That right there is a great example of balance because you don't have this empty gap over here. You have one size of this character, and then you have one size of this character, okay? And then say like if you let's say you added even another one in the center, which is a great thing for balance because yeah, because it leads the eye, okay? It doesn't like keep the eye in one area. It doesn't keep the eye in one spot. It leads the eye, okay? So it's almost like this guy's looking at him, he's looking at him, he's looking at him, you know? Plus the size difference, you know, in the body, in the head, all of it. And then if you wanted to add even more impact, you could even go as far as to fade one out, okay? Almost as if they're like, you know, standing in a scene. Fade this, not him, but fade him out a little bit. So see how it's like kind of going back now? Or you could do just the opposite. You could put more focus on the middle guy and less focus on the guy in front. So then he's, you know, oops, not like that. Put more focus on him and fade him out more. So then the middle guy's the focus. All right, so that's balance in a nutshell. Yeah. but it don't have to be people. People is a good example because people are, you know, they're they're pretty much the most related thing to the viewer's eye that, you know, the viewer can um, understand, can you know, just relate to, and everybody's used to seeing people, right? All right, so let's let's go back to where we were, right there, um, and you know, balance could be anything, okay? It can be an object. Um, let's see, you know, it can be an object over here. Um, you know, that adds balance right there. So it's not like, it doesn't visually seem like, you know, the image is tipping or weighing too much to one side. So just the littlest thing to balance out, you know, what's going on. All right. All right. So let's bring your guy back. One thing I wanted to do too is I wanted to show you another powerful element. Um, this is kind of like, this is called the pyramid, but it's basically to direct the viewer's eye um, to go this way. Okay, whatever you could add, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but whatever you can add over here, maybe you have some people, you know, somebody looking up at them or something. That right there is an implied line because the viewer is looking at this person, looking at this person, you know? Or it could be objects that, you know, have some kind of angular whatever, you know, that are pointing up to him. Or this shape that you have behind him, um, I believe could work too. Let me see. Let's say you made it more of a, made it something like more at an angle. um, just just something like that. Really directs your eye up to the to him because all these things are pointing to him. Okay, it's not necessary, but you know, like I said, it's just a trick. Okay, if this guy was in a scene, um, and that's really what like people use for like characters to make them more, to make them pop more, um, and more, you know, just direct, like the viewer is just directly drawn to that instead of being like drawn down here or down here. Everything is working to the character's advantage. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go back. And we're at 7:35 right now, so I'm gonna try to move a little bit faster because I still got one more critique before the class starts. Um, let's see. Um, Technically, we pretty much covered everything. This is a pretty simple image. So yeah, so I'm pretty much done with this one. I gotta move on to the next one. I was gonna try to fit three in, but might just get around to two. I know Tanchi wanted a critique as well. So are you good? Are you good, Holmes? Did that help? That can give you some tools to play around with, to work with your character. Like I said, it's a great character. You have a great read on him too. Even the circle behind him. Um, I'll show you another thing too. Um, it's almost as if he's like in the spotlight or something. But I'll show you. I'll show you another thing too. Nah, actually, nah, it's all right. It's okay. Because I gotta move on to the next one. So we'll just leave it at that. I pretty much showed you everything that I needed to show you. Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. That's what I was going to discuss. If you want to put more focus on him, cut all that out. Cut all that out and zoom in on him like that. And that's just basically cropping the image. You just crop him to put more focus on him. Okay? Because honestly, you don't really need um, you don't really need all this, honestly, unless he was like in a scene or something, and you had to see the full profile of the character. Uh, but yeah, but that's what I was going to touch on. Another thing I was going to touch on is right down here. This kind of creates like a tangent. It kind of draws the eye too. Um, you want to try to avoid things like this, especially when you're um, working with like a character. You want your character to be the main. You want this to be the main focus. You don't want the eye to come back down in this area. Because that's another thing. I was kind of bouncing back and forth, with the exception of this right here. Um, I mean, my eyes were drawn to the sharp edge of the circle too, but my eyes were constantly being drawn down at the bottom. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, if this was a character design, if it was like just a character profile, like if you were just laying out a character profile, then yeah, you would want to show everything. You would want to show, like if you were doing it, say like for a game or a movie or something, and you needed to show everything for that character. You needed to show a side profile, a front, a back. Then yeah, you would want to capture everything. You would want to capture the full body. But for this particular shot of the character, I think yeah, like Fleur said, it'd work best if it was just, you know, if the attention was just on him. Okay, like like that, something like that.